The Bears won big in Week 17 against the Atlanta Falcons 37-17, and they exited that game still in the playoff hunt. And during that Bears game, Carolina lost to the Jaguars, helping Chicago secure the #1 overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. But with Green Bay's win over the Minnesota Vikings later that evening, Chicago was sadly eliminated from playoff contention, which I hope the Bears give them right back this Sunday night. But a few takeaways here before I get into what I want to do with the #1 overall pick. And also, Chicago can end the season not only on a 3-game winning streak, but a 3-game winning streak amongst NFC North opponents. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Rody, and as always, thank you for tuning in. Overall, I am ecstatic with how this weekend went. Bears are 5-2 over their last 7, along with being 4-1 in their last 5. This team is learning to win. It's learning to build a culture and play for each other. And like Ryan Poles said, he wants to build this team through the draft, and he will continue to do so. I also think there's a high possibility that Ryan Poles will trade back the #1 overall pick, considering its value is sky high right now, and it just got very interesting for Chicago, especially their new position and with their other first rounder that they own. So if the draft started today, the Chicago Bears would have the following order: #1 via Carolina, #10, #76, #111, #126 via Philadelphia, and #144. And with that, you have Washington, who is at #2 now, who needs a quarterback. You also have New England at #3, also needs a quarterback. But now you have teams like the Jets, the Falcons, the Raiders, the Broncos, and the Steelers, who are also all going to want quarterbacks. And all those guys are going to do whatever it takes to get that #1 overall pick. And another good thing that Chicago learned this past weekend, they might not have to worry about defensive tackle as much with the emergence of Javon Dexter Sr., but they also learned that DJ Moore cannot be the only elite wide receiver on this roster. Does that mean Marvin Harrison Jr. is a lock, or is Poles going to trade back? Before we get into everything, if you are ecstatic about securing the #1 overall pick for sure in the upcoming draft, make sure to smash that like button on this video and throw a bear down in the comment section below, along with who you want the Chicago Bears to take or trade back for. And if you please could hit that subscribe button on this video, which automatically enters you into all of our giveaways. And by the way, if you have notifications on, there might be a giveaway coming up this week. Can't wait. Now let's jump into what Ryan Poles could do if he trades back or stays put. I'm going to start off with staying put. And with the #1 pick, I'm taking Marvin Harrison Jr. 6'3", 210 pounds, running a 4.37 40 time. He has great size, speed, hands, and vision, making him a generational talent. This past year for Ohio State, he has 67 receptions with over 1,200 receiving yards and 18.1 yard per catch average and 14 touchdowns. The big-bodied wide receiver that Chicago needs, along with that other elite wide receiver that the Chicago Bears need, he'd be a great wide receiver too to pair with DJ Moore. Reliable, doesn't make a lot of drops, and could help unlock Justin Fields. And with the Bears' #10 pick, I'm going with a guy that I haven't gone over yet, but after recent play, I definitely want him, and that's defensive edge Jared Verse from Florida State. Big dude at 6'4", 260 pounds, and runs a 4.59 40 time. Fast off the snap, high motor, great tackler, and fantastic at getting to the backfield. This past season, he had 41 total tackles, 12.5 tackles for loss, 9 sacks, 3 pass deflections, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery. Imagine pairing him with Montez Sweat. He also can switch from the outside to the inside, kind of like DeMarcus Walker if needed for his speed, and he just has that strong brute strength of getting through the middle. So with those 2 picks, it addresses both key areas of need for the Chicago Bears that are both going to be on rookie contracts and have longevity for this franchise. But let's go into the trade backs real quick. All those teams that I named above, they're going to be going for a quarterback. And there are 3 trade backs I'm going to do with the #1 pick and still get top talent. So with the first trade, I am sending the #1 to Washington, along with getting the #2 pick and a 2025 first. Bears are going to be getting calls for absolute hauls from teams that are farther back, and Washington is going to want to make sure they lock in their guy of the future. So why not do what they did like the Carolina Panthers? They're obviously in a much better draft position than the Panthers were, But at the end of the day, still getting that first next year is key. They're also going to be bad next year. I think so, at least in my opinion. You can say what you want in the comments, but they could be the opportunity for the Bears to get the number one again. So with Washington taking the number one, they're probably going to take a top quarterback, but the New England Patriots, like I said earlier, are going to want one as well. So I'm going to send the number 2 to New England for New England to move up one spot, and I'm going to get the number 3, the number 34, and a 2025 third. They're only moving up one spot, but again, there was about 6 other teams that could be calling for a halt to even get number 2. Why not Chicago? Why not trade back? And New England's going to do what it takes to get either the second best option or the guy that they still want. And with my third trade using the number 3 overall pick, I'm trading the number 3 to the Atlanta Falcons and getting the number 9, the number 44, a 2025 first, a 2025 third, and safety Jesse Bates III. Bears get the massive haul that they're looking for. They get another second round pick this year, another first next year. That means they would have 3 next year, along with another third next year, making sure they had 3 thirds next year. And then on top of it, they get a safety to replace Eddie Jackson. So after all that in 2024, Chicago owns number 9 via Atlanta, number 10, number 34 via New England, number 44 via Atlanta, number 76, number 111, number 126 via Philadelphia, and number 144. That's 2 firsts this year, 2 seconds this year, 1 third this year, 2 fourths this year, and 1 fifth. And again, I have 3 first rounders next year. So let's talk about who I would take now at number 9 and number 10. At number 9 from Atlanta, I am taking Roma Dunze, wide receiver from Washington. Another big-bodied wide receiver that Chicago needs. At 6'3", 215 pounds, also running a 4.37 40 time. He has great hands, great speed, size, and vision, just like Marvin Harrison Jr. Along with that, he had a monster year for Washington this past year. 81 receptions for over 1,400 yards, a 17.6 yards per catch, and 13 touchdowns. Again, big body wide receiver, reliable, that wide receiver 2 that we need, a rookie that will be on a contract for a long time, and sky-high potential. And at number 10, I'm still going to stick with Jared Verse if he is there. I think that he's just a monster and would solidify that defensive line and would make it really special. Put your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. Again, there's free agency still, which I'll do another video on in a couple of days here. So stay tuned for that. But with that, thank you very much for joining this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Rohde, and as always, bear down, baby.